this
Consolidation.
all over the airport. So everyone knows where everything is now. And the doors have openers and they've been serviced and there's lights and other improvements are done. The animal shelter lease, safe to build a kennel building. It was approved by the airport board to lease land to them. And Snowy Mountain Motors, they want to, on a month-to-month lease, be able to use on the airport frontage roads. The airport manager suggested purchasing and renting Connex boxes to be placed at the driving course for rental by groups using the track and provided wind protection. We have an old fire truck, and a motion was made to sell that. We need to find out some comparison costs, if there's anything that would be viable. We have a new snow blower. Bozeman Airport gifted us a snow blower. And it's the same year and model as the Oshkosh military snow blower in use currently. We'll either trade that or sell it. Broke down, we'll trade or
Sell
sell.
the old one, not that military.
Okay, sell the old Idaho Norland snow blower, okay. Can you address that?
There's nothing to talk about there.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't there, so I can't, I'm kind of.
I think the only other thing,
What?
can I interrupt you?
Yes.
So, the only other thing is that there are two big construction projects next year at the airport.
Right.
One is an airport hangar door for the big hangar, and the second one is, taxiway reconstruction that's going on. The FAA added a lot of dollars to their original budget, but they came up about $1 million short, and so the airport board agreed to cut back the scale of part of the project that was just fine with the airport board. We really almost didn't want the FAA to do part of that. And so there will still be a significantly large project at the airport next summer on taxiways, which will complete vast majority of what needs to be completed at the airport.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Wood? Commissioner Roots?
The City County Health Board will meet the fourth Monday of this month, 5:30, at the Sheriff's Complex in the basement. Anybody wants to come sit in on that, that'd be great.
Thank you. Commissioner Bueller?
The library board met, I'll make sure I have the right day, on September 17th. During that meeting, we had a representative from the state library there, and we were able to talk about building out a calendar of events for the library to make sure that we have a strategic plan put in place and implemented, as well as we're kind of abiding with the state laws for the fiscal build out of the library's budget and things like that. So that was a really informative meeting. We will be meeting next Wednesday, October 15th at 1 p.m. in the library, if you'd like to meet, but that was the main focus of that meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Speaker?
I missed the Snowy Mountain Development meeting and will report when I get minutes.
Awesome. Thank you. And then am I correct, Commissioner Terry is not on?
Correct.
Okay, she would like for me to report Central Montana Foundation. Meeting was held September 23rd. There were no grant requests, but she was in attendance, and they did have a meeting regarding foundation business. And the next meeting is set for October 28th at 2 p.m. I have a report for the Park and Rec Department, always exciting, right? So, the Park and Rec Department met on October 1st, just last Wednesday evening, regarding the Civic Center. We held discussion on the Civic Center renovation updates. All purchases for the weight room will be completed by next week. It was discussed having the football team assist in some moving in of new equipment and moving old equipment out. There was quite a bit of reorganization that was happening in the storage rooms for rental equipment. There will possibly be outdoor roller skating done at the Frank Day rink coming for next summer. The Civic Center has new fall hours. You can find that on their Facebook page. Regarding the parks, the multi-purpose facility center at Frank Day Park is really coming along. It's all ready to have electricity roughed in, and the majority of the work is being done in kind. Invoices have begun to come in, and that'll be processed through the county, which we saw a few on the consent agenda. Is that correct? Okay. Parks are in need of a signage project. The process will begin with working with local vendors to create something consistent for placing signage in parks to identify the new park names. Some ideas were generated of what those signs would look like. This project is in a very beginning phase. The Park and Rec Director will be presenting options to the board and looking into cost and maintenance and durability for some long life signage options. There are approximately 8 parks that need signage. Playground repairs are being assessed, and there was a playground park project of filling both at Creekside and Frank Day Park for mulch with Just Serve. Sims Park is next on the list that will be having that maintenance done as well. Mowing of trails have slowed down for the fall season, and regarding Civic Center programs, soccer is going great with 10 games being played at a time. A lot of teams. Future programs will begin mid-October with women's volleyball and youth rifle. The year-end report for the pool will be presented in November for next month. And items were brought before the board for some maintenance issues with trails. And for the good of the order, it was just reported some trails maintenance also being made. 2 items were brought up for discussion regarding the use of e-bikes being allowed on the trails and the city allowing a dog park for public use. Both topics have received a lot of attention from citizens with calls being made at the Civic Center. So future discussion on both topics will be held at our next meeting. The next meeting will be Wednesday, November 5th, at the Civic Center at 7 p.m.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Has anything been done about the basketball hoops
I
at any
believe
of the parks?
with what we talked about with the playground park, they're going from playground to playground and doing an assessment need of all of those. So that should be part of that report when they go in. I think they're doing like maintenance checks on swings and playground equipment, including basketball hoops, rims, and backboards. Am I correct on that? That Pat will be doing that for that staff.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on to the city manager report. City Manager Holly Phelps.
So the Public Works will start their leaf cleanup October 20th. They just finalized that schedule today, and so we will work to get that out in the newspaper and on the radio, but it is also on the city's website. Again, this is weather dependent, and so depending on the weather, the days can get pushed back a little bit, but they do run a certain schedule and just proceed to the next. We continue to work on the city's land use plan. We did receive some grant funding to update our codes and other planning policies to align with that. And so, more to come on that, but we are continuing to work on that. Recently, Public Works installed 3 sets of rapid flashing beacons at trail crossings around town. While a couple of them still need programs, they do improve visibility of pedestrians at these crossings, and we have had some discussion on utilizing that same technology in other locations to improve pedestrian safety. If you haven't been around, Commissioner Day touched briefly on what's going on in the parks, but the cemetery, they continue to work on maintenance and other activities. They did get another runner port this summer, and things are looking good, though they are beginning the process of winterization and stuff like that. There's still lots of nice days that they can get ahead of next year's maintenance tasks. So, we are no longer accepting leaves and grass clippings at the wastewater plant. This will be a big adjustment for our community. Also a big adjustment for us with our sweeping endeavors. And so we're still looking at what we're going to do with that large scale cleanup. And then we do continue to discuss long-term options of disposal for leaves and grass clippings. Then I will be out of the office the next couple of weeks for trainings, but I'm still available by phone and email. Also passed out tonight was some letters, some correspondence that the office received, as well as the year-to-date revenues and expenditures for you guys.
Thank you.
Please let us know if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions for city manager regarding the report? Okay, we'll be moving on to public comment for non-agenda items. So anything that is not on the agenda tonight, we welcome public comment. And we would just like to remind you to please state your name and address before approaching the commission in the city. Public comment?
Hi. Ashley Rita, you understand?
Sure.
Hi. Well, I come this evening to talk about, let me just think for a second, I'm gonna start, but, well, I'll just jump off of Holly with the leaf pickup. And
The what?
the leaf pickup and grass clippings.
Okay.
Last couple of years, I've been working with RAL and some other organizations in the state and community regarding recycling. And organics is much included in that. So, I mainly wanted to come tonight to say that I want the grass clippings, and I want all the tree waste, and I want the leaves, and I want to add organic collection, and I want to expand on that for the city. So I would like to hear that our composting isn't getting shut down, that it's going to expand. And I want to offer the idea of the business proposal that at another date we can get in more depth, is that it's cooperative, it's worker owned, it's service shared, and it's not something that's just meant to support Central Montana or Lewistown. It's actually filling the gap in the state, because a lot of this is happening in concentrated areas of the state, and it's not happening across the state. And so with that, I've worked really the last 2 years heavily in the schools. They want it. I got enough staff supporting milk jug in a backpack. They want more recycling. There's staff that hauls paper from the schools to buildings to recycle. So we want this business to be collaborative with recycling programs that are already happening in the state. It's a matter of us properly collecting and transferring materials. And so we're working on that. I'm working on that with others. But I wanted to let the city in on that, and with that, we do wanna be a major composting facility in central Montana. And, you know, the timing is, maybe some would say good, but missing RPA's, presentation July 7th, I was in Washington State at BARTech, which is one of the biggest composting facilities that takes biosolids from Spokane, Post Falls, and Coeur d'Alene, and educating myself on their process and their facility and how they're managed to help even Montana State get some more infrastructure like this in our own state to support small water treatment facilities that don't have the capital investment to make the upgrades needed. And I also kind of stand behind this model because I'm concerned as a community member that when it does come time to need these things and it happens, it then turns to taxpayers. And with a cooperative, hopefully we could do a lot more fundraising and build the infrastructure with some capital that we bring together jointly and then serve the community as a whole. And it's more sustainable model than just me starting a composting business and then not being able to compost once I'm done with it or my family's done with it. So we're really looking at a model that's meant to support communities across the state, and we want to start here in Lewistown. And I understand that the screw press has been approved. I can still take your biosolids. I don't know how many people would come in here and say, I want your biosolids, but I want them, and I am here. And I want you to know that I'm here and I'm working on this, and I've got some really excited people here, wanting to do this. And again, not just for Lewistown and central Montana, but really to be able to model this in such a big state that's spread out. And so that's what I'm here just to say this evening.
So Ashley and I do have a meeting set up
Yes.
later this week. There's some great statewide contacts too I'd like to put you in connection with.
Yeah. Great. And I have been in connection with Doug, so some of this is, you know, been discussed.
The purchasing of the screw press is just a way to produce a certain class of biosolid, is that correct?
That is to dewater
Yes.
biosolids. So regardless of where they go,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it is an option that we even split how we're land applying
Yeah.
or where our biosolids is.
Yeah, it's not,
It's just we with the city does not have a permit with DEQ to compost on site.
so that RPA report, reviewing that, and I kind of come in through also Big Spring Watershed Council, but that report, if you go through that, it gets repetitive when they go through your options, but a lot of those disadvantages and those things that you need, you don't need if we're here as a cooperative. So a lot of those costs that just became yours in making those decisions, I'm saying I take that away.
So your business would
So
hold
it's-
the liability with DEQ?
So I buy a spreader,
Yep.
right? Like I already have a guy up in Fort Benton that wants to buy a spreader,
Mhm.
right? Because he needs a spreader. You know, so it's a cooperative, so that's a service shared model where that spreader goes around when it's needed.
Mhm.
Personnel, turning the piles, we're doing that. City's not doing that. I mean, it could really look as simple as, I bring a truck in, you load it with biosolids, and you never see it again.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yep.
And there's lots of different resources that can be shared, whether it's land, because we need land, and we need water, and not treated water, preferably well water. So we've been in connection with county as well, which I'll sit with them on Friday, but just to let you know that that's, wheels are turning.
Wonderful.
Any other questions regarding the public comment? Thank you. Okay, any other public comment regarding the non-agenda items? Sure. Tell us your name.
Here, Albert and Debbie White, we live at 315 South Miller Street, and I'm here to question a few things on the conditional use permit at 318 East Water Street.
So that is
That's agenda.
an agenda item
Oh, that's
tonight.
agenda,
Yeah,
okay.
that'll be our
Just
number
wanted to make sure I
3.
didn't get left
Yeah,
out.
so no, you just stay put.
Moving on.
Awesome, thanks for being here. Okay, any other public comment regarding non-agenda items? Okay, we'll move right on, with our consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions for our city clerk?
MPF is multi-purpose facility, right?
You are
Yay.
correct.
Yay.
Read it right.
Okay, if there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we accept, expenditures.
Now, what are
No.
these two?
Those
Those
are,
are the new,
So we'll go around them next time?
those are
they're just
revenue
for
and
your review.
expenditure for us to
Yeah.
review.
to review for the
To review, gotcha.
Department of Administration.
DOA.
So,
I'll second.
okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the table from Commissioner Hewitt and a second from Commissioner Bueller. Any other questions regarding the consent agenda? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, consent agenda has been passed. Moving on to the regular agenda. Item number 1 is discussion and action on approving lease agreements between Fergus County Council on Aging and the City of Lewistown for use of Central Montana Community Center. City Manager Holly Phelps.
So in your packet is the lease agreement with the Council on Aging and the city, for this building we're in tonight. This should look familiar to many of you. This is the same lease agreement in the past. It is a 5-year agreement. They're putting annual money into the roof, expenditure fund, and then providing $1,000 that we use for things like the microphones and other things to make this space usable for us. The parking is the same. If they utilize it, great. If not, that's fine too. But they do have parking alongside of the building here and some allotted in the parking lot across the back as well. And there really was no questions or concerns raised by them.
I move the city commission approve the lease agreement between Fergus County Council on Aging and City of Lewistown for use of Central Montana Community Center.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Rubes and a second from Commissioner Bueller. Do we have any other questions regarding the motion?
In review of this document, is the city happy with the terms of the lease? Are we contented?
And then the city's still responsible for the exterior, if I read this right?
Yes,
And they take care of the inside?
interior stuff.
It remains annual. Any other questions from the commission or the public? We'll do a roll call vote.
Okay. We are approving the lease agreement between the Fergus Council on Aging and Lewistown for this community center. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 2, which is a public hearing, to consider a request by Sharon House to locate a family, extended stay recreational vehicle on her property at 318 East Water Street. So this is a public hearing to hear comments regarding this subject. So we'll open that public hearing now.
Okay, so I got a few things that I'm kind of wondering about.
Could you restate your
Oh,
name,
Albert
your
White.
name and your address? I'm
Albert
sorry.
and Debbie White, 315 South Miller Street.
Thank you very much.
So I'm wondering, is this the RV, the big toy hauler that's already been sitting there for months?
The fifth wheel?
Yeah. Okay, so they've already been there for a while. They've already more or less set up camp. per se, and now you wanna do this family extended stay, I mean, I get it, if somebody's got a medical history, some trouble that they want family near there to help, but just to turn that into an RV park, we already got enough going on up there, there's 2 others on East Water Street that probably need to be addressed as well. If you're gonna take them and move them out, then the ones across the street need to be moved out. And I just had a new one that moved in across from my house. If you're gonna let RVs up there, then I guess great. I'm here to say that that ain't an RV park. There's plenty of RV parking in town. They can pack it up and go to the RV park. So I don't know what that extended stay is gonna be all about. They've already been there most of the summer. So I don't know what an extended stay is all about. And, the conditional use permit, is that a permanent thing? Is it a temporary thing? So that's what I'm wondering, because they've already been there all summer long, and the whole lot's kind of in disarray anyway.
So I'd like to apologize, I should have began this public hearing, with comments, to be introduced by our city manager. So I'm gonna turn some time over to City Manager Holly Phelps to introduce this, give us some background on it, and then continue to hear comment for the public hearing. Thank you, I apologize.
So you are correct, this was placed there without permission or utilizing the processes we already have in place to allow short-term camping there. And so, it was turned in by an adjacent property owner, to code enforcement, and that has gone through the process. They are now seeking a conditional use permit. The recommendations that were made by the city county planning board, who works as our zoning commission, was that they allow this for a period of 2 years. And so that is the recommendation. The commission has letters from 2 other property owners as well regarding this. Doug's initial thought was to have this, RV meet to the current setbacks of the zone, which would have required a 5-foot setback off of the alley property. Everything else, appeared to be compliant. And so,
It's 20 feet from the alley.
no, it's a 5-foot setback for a temporary building, a shed or something like that, not a house. So. And then the property owner is in the room as well, if we want to give her an opportunity.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that?
Uh-huh.
I'm reading here background information. So it says all zoning requirements must nonetheless be met for the RMO zone. This isn't an RMO zone. Is this a current RMO zone?
Yes, it is, yeah.
And it says the setbacks are 20 feet front, 20 feet rear, 5 feet side yard. If the side yard is adjacent to a street, the setback is 10 feet. Those will be met or are being met?
They will not be being met.
Cannot be met?
Tim.
I'm sorry?
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. So can you clarify that for me then? Explain that more. They will not be met for this
So
RMO.
currently, it is not being met, it was placed prior to this process.
Correct.
So currently, it is too close to the alley, to be compliant with this.
So it would require a variance, or is being given a variance through this, or
This wouldn't take the
Conditional
place
use.
of,
would be the same as a variance?
it is not, it is strictly for this one particular property owner. With this particular situation, it's non-transferable or anything like that. And like I said, the recommendation was for a period of 2 years.
Why 2 years?
City manager, this is Doug. I have a comment or response.
Hi, Doug.
The key here for conditional use permit, versus a variance is that in the RMO zone district, which this is located, we do allow transient housing. It's not called, and nowhere in the zoning code do we have anything called extended stay. So based on that, we do allow transient. I went the direction of a conditional use permit because that would be allowed by zoning code. If the setbacks cannot be met, then I suggest that a variance be pursued. Otherwise, I don't think the CUP fits. Second comment is I understand the zoning commission recommended the 2-year time period for the transient trailer. The way I would think about that is if in fact the owner cannot meet the setbacks, they either go in the direction of a variance or the time limit of the transient facility is reduced to a year maximum from the time you make your decision.
All right, Doug, so they've been there all summer, so why is that not included in the time frame?
Commissioner, it's one of those things where I wasn't apprised that it was there until zoning code enforcement was notified by a property owner that it was there. And so there's really not even good books on when the trailer was placed, but it has been there all summer. So you have comments from the adjacent property owners who are concerned about this being after the fact. And I have no other way to explain it than, yes, this is after the fact, trying to deal with a situation where a landowner decides to do something and then it is found out about, and then we try to do our best to figure out a wedge that this fits into in the code. And that's basically what I just described to you as options. If the code requirements for setbacks can't be met, then the only thing that I think is even doable is a variance. But if you want to continue to consider the zoning commission's recommendation that they adhere only to the 2 years, I would strongly suggest that you reduce that time significantly, especially in light that they've got several months that they've already been in place. So that gives the person a relief who's concerned about housing. So they've got what, maybe 4 or 5 months already. And if you give them another year, that's a significant amount of time to find a appropriate place in the city or the county to place a recreational vehicle for someone to live in.
So could you clarify, you said transient housing is allowed, is it just allowed with conditional use, like that, those two have to go hand in hand?
Yeah, the only thing that really suggests a conditional use permit, Commissioner, is the fact that transient housing is allowed in the RMO zone.
Okay.
Can you give us a definition of transient housing, please?
Short term. Someone who wants to live on their property in a trailer for a year while the house is being remodeled. There's also RV permits that I'm not that familiar with, but our city does have a system for getting temporary RV permits for placing RVs on a piece of property, but they are temporary. I think 72 hours is the maximum amount of time allowed under that process.
It depends. So the 72 hours is on a city street. They can permit up to 90 days in a calendar year with our camping permit process
On the property.
on the property.
And there's some restrictions.
Am I remembering correctly that just a few years ago, we reviewed one of these and it did not go through?
No, so just a few years ago, we allowed that camping permit.
Okay.
Prior to that, it was not allowed at all.
But it was just that 90-day camping.
Correct.
You would have to get a permit to use.
So can I comment as the property owner?
Absolutely.
So because of the cost of housing here in Lewistown and the lack of inventory here and a single mom with a child, I had the room. I properly put a nice pad out there. I put all the plumbing, electric into my own house. I paid for all this. I landscaped it nicely. I did everything I could do to clean up when I bought that lot, make it nice for that neighborhood. You can go to my house right now, there's no trash, it's not disrespectful over there. Keep the lawns mowed, we're quiet people, we don't get into anybody's business, but because the neighbor was disgruntled, yes, he turned me in. And I didn't know at the time you had to have a permit, so I go straight down, I get a permit. And then from there, it just snowballed. I'm doing it the right way. I work for the state of Montana Property Assessment. The number of properties I go on right now that are trailers with people living in them that we'll just call trash. And nothing's being done to them. They're not being kicked out. They're not being complained about when they should. So if we're gonna do this to me, we need to go around and do this to everybody with a trailer sitting on their property. Any of you are more than welcome to drive by my property and look at it. Anybody who's known that block knows I have cleaned that place up, spent every penny of my money to make it look nice. I have a daughter and a grandson who need an affordable place to live. And that's what I provided them with. I have moved the trailer since the last meeting I had to go to. We paid someone to come move that trailer forward, so it's off the alley even more. They haven't even been living in it, they've been living in my house because of all this. So, and then a comment was made, then I got my water bills increased significantly. The explanation to me was because, well, think of it, if you put an apartment out there, there's another service. It's ran into my house. Again, I work for the state. If someone were to add a bathroom to their house, I'm not gonna go up there and we're not gonna penalize them. We're not gonna add a second service because they put a second bathroom in their house. So we've gotta look at that the same. Why am I being charged for a second service? It's piped into my house. It's part of my house. Yet I'm getting charged for 2 services. I'm doing everything right as a citizen to just provide housing for my daughter and my grandson. I will follow all ordinances, but I can't pull it forward anymore. I've cleared the alley, the police department's gone out there, made sure things were the way they're supposed to be. So if we're gonna do this to me, as an employee of the state of Montana Property Assessment, then I'm gonna start turning in every person who's living in a trailer on properties, and we started a roar in this town.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
Just a clarifying question. Are
Okay.
those properties you're talking, those people living in campers in the city limits of Lewistown?
Yes, oh my goodness, yes.
They are, and you're not turning them in right now?
No,
Why not?
We need affordable housing.
Well,
That's not, I don't think that's on the table today. I'd ask you to turn them in. We're sitting here tonight going through city codes not being enforced properly, taking heat from citizens for not enforcing city codes properly. Turn them in.
and that's what I did.
If
when
you're
I
seeing
found
all those things, you're a public employee of all things, I would ask that you turn those people in.
Okay,
Please do.
that is not.
I, for one, would like you to see turn those people in. And the reason is because that negatively affects the adjacent homeowner value. All those properties, if you have a camper in your side yard to your next door neighbor, and you've just spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a house or have a house in the city limits, and there's a camper next door being lived in, your property value is going to go down when you go to sell that house. And so I have very mixed feelings about this, because I think you've got 3 neighbors that are concerned probably about the property values. And So what's fair? When we live in a community, it's fair to be fair to your neighbor, and we have city codes and things. So I have mixed feelings. You are in an RML zone, so you're in a trailer zone, let's call it. Temporary, I get that. So I have mixed feelings on it, but, I think you should be telling people if you're seeing people violating in that way, especially if you're with the state of Montana, looking at assessing. So,
But that's not what we do. We are looking at houses, permanent structures on there, but now you're.
but if you're seeing somebody living in a camper, that's gotta have a negative value on the adjacent property owners. Does it not?
That's not what we look at. As an assessor, I go out there, I look at what is on your property, that is not on wheels.
Okay.
I look at solid structures. I don't look at your landscaping, I don't look at your fences. I am looking at what is built on that land, concrete, homes, buildings, outbuildings, sheds. It's on wheels, the state of Montana is not taxing you for that.
Could I ask a question? You said you've moved the RV. Does it now fit these zoning requirements?
In the last meeting I was at, they talked about me moving it 3 feet more into my yard. It wasn't hanging over in the alley, but we did move it 4 feet into the yard. So it's in my yard even more than it was, so.
So does it meet that, is it the 5-foot setback that was the big one? Does it have, it does
Yeah.
meet that now?
And if you look down that alley, there are garages that still sit closer to that alley that you can't move. I mean, and I get the grandfather thing, but, yeah, if anybody wants to complain, that looks like.
Point of clarification. The last check I did, the rear taillights of the RV were either on the alley property line of the cities or just beyond it. So I'm not aware of it being moved 5 feet inward on the property. The problem is going to be, even if you moved it 5 feet for that rear yard, you're going to infringe on the front yard setback. And the same thing as Commissioner Robertson just noted, the side yard setback next to the adjacent property owner also is not met. So I have to say, it is a sticky wicket and kind of is representative of when things happen because they happen without getting approvals to meet zoning code requirements. And there was a remedy early on for this, probably would have been a variance. But because our code in the RMO zone has a conditional use as transient, that is the path we took, all things considered. But it's going to be really tough for the property owner to meet all the setback requirements. And I think you would want to liken this, take the RV and the transient component out of it. We don't allow second houses to be built in this zone nor other zones. You can have in the duplex zone, you could have 2 houses, but even if something is allowed, a second home is allowed for whatever reason, say the lot is big enough to accommodate all the setbacks and the building heights and those types of things, there would have to be a process to allow someone to build another residence on their property. And so in this case, no permitting was done as well. But if somebody proposed even a tiny house on their property, for their daughter, they would have to go through permitting and building and meet all code requirements as part of that process. Thank you.
So so I already talked to the neighbor on the side of the trailer sitting on the house, which is Ross Butcher. He said he would give me anything I needed to make it legal, even if it encroached on his property. So if I got something from that neighbor, if he granted me an easement.
Why are neighbors granting the rules versus the city? I don't
It wouldn't have to be a variance.
have to be areas.
I need some clarification. On the bottom of this page, all zoning code requirements must nonetheless be met for the RMO zone, including front, rear, and side yard setbacks. Front yard, 20 feet. Is the front yard the part in front of the house? Yes or no?
Doug, did we determine the front yard would be where the front door?
I did not measure it. The existing home is within 20 feet. But I believe that RV, the problem is the RV is like a 45-foot building. So it extends into the front yard as well right now. So it's not 20 feet. And then the other side of the house has its side yard, but there's nothing there. But this large trailer, if it was a smaller trailer, that like a 20-footer, it probably could be accommodated. But the fact that it's a 45-footer just makes it impossible to meet everything. And thus why I put a time limit on it to kind of match up with the transient nature of what is allowed under conditional uses for the RMO zone. All things considered, trying to work with, in recognition that we do need housing in Lewistown, but we need housing that's done in the and built under existing codes and regulations. So this is a little bit of sticking a round peg in a square hole. I absolutely would have to admit that.
Okay, I'll try again. The front yard, 20 foot. Now, is the front yard that portion of land in front of the door? Front yard?
Are you talking about the RV or the
No, I'm talking
residence?
about the lot. How big is the lot?
Oh my God.
That
You have two lots.
Double lot, yes.
And how big is that?
Commissioner, the home's front door, the existing home's front door is 20 feet from the public right of way, the front yard. But the RV extends into that space on the side yard. So the RV sits within, it sits within the rear yard, the side yard, and the front yard. Yes, all three.
So how big is that lot? They look long. I've been over there a couple times.
I honestly don't know, but all I know is the front part of that RV sits about halfway through the house. It doesn't sit into the front yard.
Yeah, it's real close to the alley, you know. If you'd have known where to put it, you probably would have put it there, but it's not there.
Right.
But
I had a contractor come in and do the work. It isn't just pulled in there. It's not sloppy.
yeah, I know. But I took 20 giant steps from the tongue of that camper to the street. That's 60 feet. That trailer's gotta be 50 something. It's big.
It's 44.
Okay. I just can't get an answer of, a rear yard 20 feet, you know, to me, but anyway, and the side, I know that's 5 feet.
So Doug said it encroaches into rear, front, and one side.
It doesn't encroach on the front, I can tell you that. I was there today and I stepped it off.
No, it doesn't.
Okay? But that doesn't solve the problem that we have here. It doesn't meet the back end requirement at all.
So Commissioner, based on your walking it off, if they move the RV 5 feet toward the front yard, would it still have a 20-foot setback in the front yard?
In the front yard?
You were there today.
Yep.
Right, it still wouldn't be even with the front door of that house.
And that was after she moved it approximately 4 feet over the weekend, so.
We have a couple more
So
comments.
to me, that speaks to seriously considering moving the RV toward the front yard and giving that alley a 5-foot setback or more.
We have some public comment.
Yes, Mr. Patrick. Well, okay, first of all, I was not even aware of the fact there was a, transient ordinance allowed. But number two, ladies interest with own relative, which I understand, okay? But the transit rule is a mistake because it's a one relative, the point is, it's gonna be a big problem with a transit rule that should be gotten rid of. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Mr. Shaver, did you have a quick comment as well?
Yeah, Ken Shaver, 639 Northeast Washington. On these zoning laws that we're talking about, when were they written? When were they last written?
Most of our zoning codes were updated in the 80s.
So we're working off in the 80s when campers and stuff were small and because basically what we got here, what I think you have here is a mother-in-law quarters, right, to a house. You know, a lot of people have mother-in-law quarters on their property. Does the code say that that's allowed? Does the code say that camping's allowed? Probably not. You know, those zoning codes are there for a reason, so every person doesn't have to come up and give variance and everything, so I would suggest it's not allowed, it's not allowed, we can't, and I know you see it from all, and I used to work for the postal service, it is all over. You go up to the heights up there by Burke Lumber, and you got people running extension cords across the street to each other's houses, and, you know, so, boy, it needs to be cleaned up, it needs to, that's a big mess.
That's how it
But
is.
we need to go through the law, the zoning needs to be redone. We did a planning a couple of years ago, and now the zoning needs to be redone. That's all I got, thanks.
According to the cadastral, it's 45 by 9, or 75 by 90 foot lot. So 45 could fit just perfectly.
45 by 90.
The lot is 45 by 90.
So it would fit with.
No, what did you say the lot is?
75 by 90.
It's 75 by 90. A
What is 90
regular
by depth?
lot is 45 by 90. So it's a little bit bigger than a.
So it's a double lot.
Not full double.
Not double.
That's what she said it was.
A double would be 90 by 180.
Right.
So the depth is 90, so 45, 55, 85. You get up to 85.
Smuggling in.
At this point, we're just asking for a year and we'll get it out of there along with me. So, but just a year, that's all we're asking.
So you're changing your request from 2 years to 1?
2 years is fine, but if it comes down to, we can't get it out this year. We can't get it out until next spring, so if.
Okay.
I'm asking for 2, but if you're gonna say no, give me at least 1 to get it out of there.
Any other questions from the commission regarding the conditional use permit or comment from the public?
And you gotta realize how much growth has come to this town and the lack of housing and people trying to work and take care of their families, and a lot of them are living in RVs. And if you can do it in a clean, respectful way, and your lot is enough to accommodate it, I'm not, anyways, that's my spiel.
Douglas, any other comment that you wanna? Can you hear me okay? He's muted.
But you could close your public hearing and then you can
Okay.
still take comment.
Did you wanna comment before we?
Yeah,
close the public hearing?
I'm just saying that her house looks great. Because in between her and me is a horrifying mess that we've been dealing with forever. Her house looks good. Mr. Butcher's, if that trailer house on the corner is Mr. Butcher's, then somebody needs to get after him to clean that up. Her house, I mean, I get it, it's what it is, but my main concern is if you're gonna go after and attack her, then you go across the street, and I want them all gone. That means Mr. across the street, Bo Brown, he's got the exact same setup that camper has been sitting in front of that other trailer house forever. Then get it out of there then. If you're gonna go after her, you go after Bo Brown and you tell him that his camper needs to go, and then you need to get a hold of the one across the street, and you need to get that one moved. It just got moved in there about a month ago, and that's a rental. So you need to go after Mr. Brimer, and you need to go after him and tell him that he needs to get Ladonna's trailer out of there also. So don't just pick on her, you need to get them all. The whole neighborhood up there is beyond wreck. Her house is probably one of the nicest one up there. Across the street is getting to be pathetic. That's the one that I'm talking about. Riffraff after riffraff moves in there. And I don't know how she even puts up with it. I'm just saying, if you're going after her, you go after everybody up there. Don't just go after her for it. I mean, I get it, but Bo Brown's mess needs to be cleaned up then also. They all need to go.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. The public hearing is closed, and we'll move on to item number 3, which is discussion and action on approving a conditional use permit application from Sharon House to locate a family extended stay recreational vehicle on her property at 318 East Water. City Manager Holly Fox.
Yes, so you've heard much of the history, you've heard what the recommendation was from the city county planning board serving as our zoning commission, and then we've heard from our planner tonight regarding the proposal, how it currently is met, what his recommendations would be as of tonight. But ultimately, this, RV transient house would be allowed as a conditional use in the zone, an RMO zone. Again, there have been some conditions that would need to be met or likely need to be met to allow this. But I think that we all recognize the need for housing locally too and the struggle.
I move to approve the conditional use as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Williamson. Do we have a second?
To do what?
To approve the conditional use.
As recommended by the city county.
For 1 year?
That was for
I moved as presented. It can either die, or it can be rescinded or amended.
You want me to read that motion, Ron?
Yes, please.
Okay, he has made a motion to approve the conditional use permit application to locate a family extended stay recreational vehicle on her property at 318 East Water for 2 years. Correct?
May I amend that motion to change the time to 1 year?
Okay, so I have to have, it has to die and we have to do a new motion. So that motion, if nobody's gonna second the first one,
Okay, gotcha.
it's going to die, and then I need another motion, so you can now make the, does anybody else want to second that motion?
Can I ask a question before we get to that point?
Yeah, not really. We really need to let this one die. Okay, we're now back on the drawing, we're back.
Can I ask a question before we do another motion? Because it's relevant to what we can even pass. If she can't meet it, we can't really approve it, right? Because it's not allowed. It's just not allowed. It'd have to be a variance. So she would have to meet this setback to get the 2 years or 1 year or $5 or whatever we did. So,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
so it sounds like she probably can't. So we'll just be, it doesn't really matter.
She can't get it into the setback rules, correct?
Okay, so it's irrelevant, really. This will
Okay.
never go through.
And Doug said that the conditional use permit would be the equivalent of a variance.
No, no.
No.
Doug, are you there? Do you wanna speak to that?
Yeah, Commissioner, would you clarify your question or restate it?
Yeah, so I was thinking you said that the conditional use, we allow transient housing following all of the other rules of the zone. If those rules can't be met, it would have to be a variance.
You would have to apply for a variance.
Is that correct? Or can we approve a
That's
conditional use that does not comply with the code, with the setback?
No, so the notion was, in the planning department's recommendation to the zoning commission was to do a conditional use permit if, and I emphasize if, all zoning requirements can be met, which in this case primarily refers to the setbacks around the building. So your question is a technical one. If that can't happen, then yes, it's a variance, which I would note would have a whole new public review process, public notice process. You'll be in that room. Now that you extended the contract with the county, you'll be in that room in a couple months or more, looking at a variance. In the meantime, I'm assuming the trailer will stay there. So I would just kind of balance what you think in this case, all things considered, is the right thing. It both in terms of people's time and energy and effort. But the technical answer to your question is no, the trailer would violate zoning code setback requirements if it cannot meet them by moving it.
Then the individual could follow the parking,
Do the temporary
do the
permit.
temporary permit, because there is the 90 days in that time frame. So that could all be followed. And the variance, I would assume she could come in and apply pretty quickly, and, I mean, a lot of the legwork has been done.
So for this, we can approve whatever we want. Most likely it's gonna die here anyway.
Cause it cannot meet that requirement.
Okay, do we have a new motion on the table?
I move the Lewistown City Commission approve a conditional use permit application from Sharon House to locate a family extended stay recreational vehicle on her property at 318 East Water Street in Lewistown, Montana for the time period of 1 year beginning October 1st, 2025.
Are you gonna require any requirements from the zoning committee? What do we call them?
The
Well-
planning committee had
Planning department.
conditional,
That's already there. We don't have to do that, do we?
Not if
is not there.
Well, it needs to say that,
Yeah.
that all other setbacks be met.
but they can't meet them.
And all zoning code requirements must nonetheless be met for the RMO zone, including front, rear, and side yard setbacks.
I'll second
Does
that.
that do it?
I think so.
They can't really have a second.
But if you can figure out how.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Rubes and a second from Commissioner Speaka. So in order for this to happen, all of those requirements have to be met. Am I understanding that correctly?
You would still be allowed to have the camper permit
Okay,
for the interim.
and she could also be able to start the variance process. Okay. This just gives her time to get the variance process, basically. I think I'm understanding correctly.
Who would go out and confirm the setbacks have been approved before the permit
We'll have to
is
send
issued?
a city staff will go up, okay. I don't know who that city staff will be, but we have some,
Code enforcement,
that's what I'm thinking. Or building.
I think that's the title of the job.
That is enforcing the code.
Call the question?
Okay, are we ready? Do we have any
Yeah.
comments from the public?
Can you, sorry, I'm writing something down.
Can you read back the motion before we vote on it? Thank you.
Could you read the motion, please? Sorry.
I have a motion on the table to approve a conditional use permit application from Sharon House to locate a family extended stay recreational vehicle on her property at 318 East Water for 1 year, beginning October 1st, 2025, as long as all zoning requirements of the RMO zone can be met, which would include a 20-foot rear setback, 20-foot front yard setback, and 5-foot set yard back on both sides of the property at 318 East Water Street.
Thank you.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Let's talk
Oh,
about this just
I
a
think-
little bit.
Again, any questions from the commission or the public or comments? Commissioner Reeves.
I spent a lot of time visiting with Mr. Bob Tuss, who wrote the letter, and a little bit of time with Neva Crane, who wrote the other letter. And I am the commissioner they elected, and I realize I'm supposed to respect their wishes in what I'm doing here. But as I see this, we're getting down close to fall, and we need some time to get things done. We can't just move it when it's 20 below. And I just hope Bob's not too mad at me. That's all I got to say. I think a year, hopefully you can get things worked out in that time. Secondly, I was there at the property. I knocked on Sharon's front door. You have to go through a screen door to get there. And you're right, that place is impeccable, clean. And I just, kind of sold me on that. So anyway, that's my theory on the whole thing. 1 year.
You ready?
Ready, roll call vote, please.
Okay. Does everybody, do you want me to reread the motion, or are we okay?
We're good.
Okay. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
No,
Commissioner Roots,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 4, discussion and action on approving a railroad lease for mid-state companies located at 420 Truck Bypass. City Manager Holly Wilkes.
Yes, so included in your packet is a railroad lease for the property, located, the railroad corridor behind what used to be Pacific, Recycling off of the truck bypass. Mid-State Signs is currently leasing that property and, would like to is utilizing some of the outdoor fenced-in yard, to construct cabins. Again, part of that is within the city right-of-way, or railroad right-of-way. They have asked us to lease parcel A, which is not the entire parcel that Pacific used to lease, but the part directly adjacent to the building, behind the building.
Behind the building.
And they,
Yeah.
the current owner owns property on both sides of that, what used to be the railroad property.
Is this a similar lease to what we just did out with Lewistown Stockyard?
That original document is the same that the railroad can utilize.
Like what we did for the stockyards.
Yeah.
I move let me get this right here. I move that the Lewistown City Commission approve a railroad lease for mid-state companies located at 420 Truck Bypass.
Okay, do we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Rhodes and a second from Commissioner Robertson. Any other questions, comments from the commission?
So this lease agreement is very similar in that they would pay a rental fee,
There's a base fee and an annual increase, yep.
okay? And similarly, there are ways to negotiate out if we would need that property vacated for any reason.
Correct, yep, we're just caregivers, so if the railroad or a city project would come through, we could work with them to abandon that lease.
And the city is comfortable and happy with these lease terms? Okay. There's all my questions.
Okay, Mid-State companies being the leaser,
Mhm.
they would have insurance on that, right?
Correct.
Any other comments or questions from the public? Let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, we are approving a railroad lease for Mid-State Companies located at 420 Truck Bypass. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Roots,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5, discussion and action on approving an emergency services dispatch agreement between Petroleum County and the City of Lewistown. City Manager Holly Phelps.
Yes, this is the dispatch agreement, much like what we have with Fergus County and, Judith Basin. This is the last of the 3. This contract is a 5-year agreement, with provisions for cost sharing, based on the recommendations of the 911 board on an annual basis. Again, very standard. We are already doing all of these operations and would be continuing to provide the same service.
Is there an increase in cost or is it the same?
So that is negotiated by the 911 board on an annual basis. They have been doing.
That's annually reviewed?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I move we approve the emergency services dispatch agreement between Petroleum County and the City of Lewistown.
Second.
Okay, awesome. We have a motion from Commissioner Speaka and a second from Commissioner Bueller. Any other comments or questions regarding the dispatch agreement from the commission or the public?
I approve.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay, we are approving an emergency services dispatch agreement with Petroleum County. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 6, discussion and action on the reading of the ordinance number 1773, an ordinance amending Lewistown City Code Section 1053, designating snow route areas as Tier 1 and Tier 2 priorities, creating parking restrictions for snow routes and amending penalties. City Manager Holly Phelps.
So this ordinance should look fairly familiar. We did have this to you guys, in June. We did take it back for some clarification, and, I think we would like to discuss those changes and, offer up some additional clarifications. But regarding the Tier 1 and Tier 2, right now, as it sits, the Tier 1 streets are called out. You guys have all seen the maps. There's been no changes to that. Tier 1 is much like our current snow routes, where that goes into effect a certain time frame. And there's no parking on that during that time frame. Like we discussed, we have amended the penalties as well to a progressive tiered system that starts for each calendar year. And then Tier 2 is really a new kind of alternative to parking on some of our lesser important kind of collector streets where we alternate odds and evens Commissioner Robertson worked very closely with us, and I know he has some thoughts on that, and then we'll discuss, kind of the threshold and, when we declare a snow emergency and things like that. Commissioner, do you want to amendment?
Sure, I want to offer up two ideas for changing this, actually as it's written. And it's the reasoning behind it. The first one relates to the definition of the parking restriction for odd and even. And to add clarity, I would suggest that under section 2, paragraph A, that be amended I handed you a sheet on here and I'll read it for public record. Even calendar days, on even calendar days, vehicles, trailers, and equipment shall be parked only on the side of the street having even numbered street addresses between the hours of 11 p.m. and 11 a.m. of the following day.
Okay.
So if I wonder if my car's on the correct side of the street for the evening and I don't want to get a ticket, I look at the date of the current day and I say it's the 2nd, therefore it must be on the even side of the street tonight when I go to bed. And I'll have them till tomorrow night at 11 p.m. basically to move it. I think the language is incorrect. I would suggest on page 3 and 9 of our current ordinance.
Well, I'm staying away from midnight.
It also avoids midnight, which is confusing to a lot of people, 12 o'clock, what time midnight? So it'd be 11 p.m. and 11 a.m., that would give people who work the second or third shift an opportunity to move their vehicles, if they need to move their vehicles. Likewise, the odd calendar days would read between the hours of 11 p.m. and 11 a.m. the following day on odd days. I would then suggest that we strike paragraph D, which is the example. I think that confuses the matters. And then on a second issue, on the next page, on page 4, under tier 1, no parking during snow event or actual accumulation of 2 inches of snow. This is for tier 1, mind you, not tier 2. This is tier 1, and I would suggest that we amend that to be 4 inches. 2 inches is almost a non-event. In some cases, it can happen without being forecast pretty easily in mountain country like we live. And I wonder if we want to spend the amount of overtime, if it's a 2.5-inch snowfall or 3 inches being forecast, and it may or may not happen. We've been living with people not moving their vehicles. This still meets the needs of a significant snow event at 4 inches, but it doesn't require a constant no parking on these tier 1 streets.
Okay.
So I think it's just an accommodation that's kind of a little bit more of a middle road. I'm still concerned about people's perception and not liking the odd even, but having been through a bunch of meetings with a lot of people since our big snow this last year, cannot seem to come up with a better solution for getting these streets cleared. Talked to a lot of citizens about what do you want? And what they want is they want a vehicle going down their city street, every night that it snows. Cannot do that and adequately clear these streets with cars on both sides, campers on both sides, and so forth. So this is an attempt to accommodate that.
You want to revise B also to define the definition of a snow event?
Yes, any references to 2 inches gets referred to under D on page 6 of 9. Any reference to 2 inches goes to 4. And then I think that there's a potential wordsmithing here, but on the notice of snow route designation to the public at large, about halfway down that first big paragraph, there's a sentence that starts on this with wherein vehicles shall only be parked overnight is the word I would add, on the street with even property addresses on even calendar days and shall only park overnight on the side of the street with odd property. Because it is daytime parking between 11 and 11 would be allowed. So those are just some changes. obviously, all feedback is good on this, because it's just an ordinance that we're looking at reviewing and approving tonight, first draft, right?
And so I did check
We're looking
with
for feedback.
police, fire, public works. They are all very comfortable with that and able to, they feel they can accomplish that this year.
Primarily, Public Works is able to clear the snow. Obviously with support if we need it.
We had very pointed discussions. If we do this, will you get it done?
Will it be
And
done?
Ernie and the staff were very clear that yes, especially if we can get rid of these obstructions to getting it done.
And they've already ordered another plow and are working on a whole nother truck and plow.
Perfect.
So what's kind of a method of madness between the 11 to 11? Why not like a 10 to 10 or 9 to 9?
I picked a couple of times, it was midnight to 6 AM, and I thought that was, it was actually noon to 6 PM, or 6 AM, it was written poorly. We could make it 10 to 10. Doesn't matter.
I want to be courteous to like what the Public Works Department is able to do.
Well, that's
I'm
why, I
also
mean,
thinking
they
about-
tend not to start till 4 AM.
Yeah.
2 or
We're
4.
encouraging them to start at midnight, and that's why I had 11 in my mind, was at least by midnight.
I think 11's good, because if you're at basketball games, that,
A
and
movie.
movie, 10:30.
I'm just thinking of like morning time as people are coming into work.
Well, so you can park where you want in the daytime.
Well, after
But-
11 AM,
After 11 AM.
Yeah.
no.
but on these streets, because they need time to clear.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not all of them. I mean, most of these are, some are residential, or kind of a mixed residential, commercial zone.
And they felt that by 11 they would have time to clear.
Well, they're gonna have a person or two out at night.
Correct.
And in the evening, late at night.
And a
at midnight,
second
And then
crew.
a second crew comes in for the day shift, but they don't get started, and let's be real, they probably aren't on the road till 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe. And so they need a little bit of time to work, and so I was just hoping to give them a 12-hour shift to work in, where arguably the roads could be cleared. It could be 10 to 10, but as others said, go to the movie and not get out, and not get home in time to get their car moved. Most people are heading to bed by 1.
I was happy to see you change it from 2 to 4.
Yeah, I personally, I mean, I know the policy has been if we get 2 inches of snow, they're start plowing. I don't think that happens. I think they struggled to get that done. I think 4 inches is realistic, and having the notice being 4 inches gives a little more room for the public too.
So is this enforceable?
Yes, yep. And in talking with the police department, their intention is to have code enforcement actually hang, notices on all of these stores ahead of time.
Appreciate you saying that, because that was really important, letting everybody know and hang a notice on their door. This is happening on your street. You live on a street where this is gonna happen. I fully expect people to be frustrated because they won't have listened and known and read Will's great articles on this. But Will's gonna write another article and say, hey, this is coming so that your street can be passable in the winter. We're doing it for them.
For the entire community.
Yeah.
Can the public comment?
Absolutely, yeah. Just
Only
say
because I've
everything.
lived in a place, 40,000 people in 1 square mile, and snow removal was really interesting. And they had, alternating, parking on sides Tuesdays, and it was a day-week thing. And because I haven't read the ordinance, I'm just curious, so this is just in an event of a snowstorm?
And it's a handful of streets. It's not throughout the community.
Right.
This is like Boulevard, 7th Avenue, those kind of more collector style.
No, this is.
So it's like
could be
the
just-
storm's coming, they don't park, and you can get in there and plow, but what about maintaining, like,
No.
you get a big, okay,
Let me
clarify that.
clarify,
Yeah,
if you would, please, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
From November 1st to May 1st, all streets that are tier 2, so these are not the emergency snow routes, they're called tier 2 streets, will have odd even parking. So from November first to May first, anybody on those streets is moving their
That's
car.
what I was
It's a habit forming issue,
Right.
right?
Alright.
We're gonna move our car every day.
I didn't know if it was just like the
Nope.
snowstorm's coming and now, but like, I would say just
That
make it
was-
an all the time thing,
And that
so.
was discussed, is
Perfect.
just doing it in emergencies, and it was decided that, well, then somebody's gonna leave their car, go on vacation for 2 weeks and assume they can leave it there. I didn't get it, I was out of town. If you live on one of these streets, and it's not a lot of streets, but it's kind of critical streets to get around in the downtown tighter areas. And the biggest motivation was emergency services. They couldn't get a fire truck or an ambulance to certain homes in the middle of these streets. They were blocked for weeks, basically, because of parked cars that weren't being moved. So, the emergency snow route is that when we get a forecast of 4 inches or it doesn't, 4 inches, don't park there. You're gonna get towed.
Like Boulevard and the main, Tier 1 streets that, I don't know, what are you talking about?
Did we consider doing the alternating on the tier 1 also plus no parking on snow events?
I don't think we really discussed that because if you're on a tier 1, you need to know that if it's gonna snow, or if it's forecast to snow, you're moving. And a lot of these tier 1s, some of these tier 1s, there's limited parking on. So they were downtown, Main Street, those kinds of things where you just, you need to be thinking about it, and there's no way to do the, so then what supersedes? Do you do no parking or tier, you do all
Sure.
parking?
It gets
right?
complicated. I was just thinking of
Yeah.
like the cleanup on the 2 to 3 inch time, they're gonna be there, nothing's, we're gonna struggle to plow around them then, but
Then we could leave it at 2. I mean, the city might say that, the public works might prefer to be at 2.
I
I'm
like
just
the
throwing
4
these out.
otherwise.
The 2 keeps it clean.
It
and
does.
easy.
Two says if it's gonna snow, you need to be, and you're on a emergency snow route. Enforcement is the big question.
Well,
Is it
the
gonna
thing
be
is
enforced?
it realistic and what is that budgetary
Yep.
consequence?
This will cost us more money, there's no doubt
Yeah.
about it, but last year's cleanup
It
cost
cost
us
us
a
a lot
lot.
of money.
And probably a lot more money than it had to because it was such a gummed up mess.
So we're editing the ordinance tonight.
I would-
Can we move with the corrections offered?
You can make a motion to approve that with those amendments.
Amendments, I can clarify, being the odd even definition, A and B, the deletion of paragraph D in this definition, or in this, and then you could decide whether you want the 2 inches or the 4 inches.
We will hold more discussion, but do we have a motion on the table to discuss?
I would move to approve first reading of ordinance 1773 with all of Tim's amendments, including the 4-inch limit.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Speaka, a second from Commissioner Bueller. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
Just a process, this is a first reading, this will come again for a second reading to the commission. Thank
And
you.
then it goes into effect 30 days.
Thank you.
So just a couple questions or points of clarification. So the 2-inch, so Holly can make the call whether it's a forecasted storm, so she sees it's gonna come in or it's actually happened. But what about the days where the wind is blowing the stuff back in? Like, that doesn't really address how we're gonna handle that, because it didn't snow an additional 2 inches. But a lot of the days that we had in January were because of that
Blowing and
that
drifting.
exact issue. So how does that fall into this?
So we still have guys on call, they won't necessarily have to, again, some are required to be moved all the time if it's snowing. No parking during this time frame. So whether it's, blowing and drifting or accumulation. And then the odds and evens is also during that time frame. So there's still gonna be movement, it's not as easy to predict.
So what about like H Street is what I'm thinking about, where that just kept coming over and coming over.
There's no parking on it.
Right, but you could plow it. I mean, that's the idea.
And so
So
guys-
how often do you go up there?
The policy is that still they're going to go out and plow, even if it's, Saturday and nobody's calling or something like that.
And
Go with
8th
the
Street
housing
is a
firm.
tier 1.
So, yeah, to clarify, we got the 1 and 2, and then everything else is 3, and 3 is just like this priorities, you do priority 1, priority 2, and then everything else comes after that.
H Street would be an example of, it doesn't fall under either of these, it's just the responsibility of the city to keep up with it as it can. In that case, last year when H Street was such a mess, they just couldn't keep up. And we're addressing that with more equipment and a different approach to attacking storms like that, which is a different method of going at them.
Which I appreciate that, you know, all the work you put into that. Those are the things that, reading this in your 4 inches, that was gonna be my, you know, request too, because looking at that, average year has 34 storms with 2 inches. So that's out there all the time, costing a lot of money to do that, when the 4-inch storms are much less prevalent.
And they can still go hit those.
Yeah.
But it doesn't put
Trigger the
people in
higher
a penalty, it doesn't trigger.
And then where does the measurement happen? Like, who's the one that goes out with a ruler and says, is it here, or is it on the
Fire,
hill?
leave that to the fire department. Like, pull at City
That's
Hall.
1 3/4, we're clear. We don't have to do anything. And then, like, education wise, like, I mean, I'm reading through here, like your map, it doesn't look like you're gonna publish it anywhere, it's just gonna be available at the city office, is how this reads. Is that something that you wanna publish to people and say, this is what we're gonna do?
It'll be on our website and stuff
I
like that.
wonder also if we share it through social media.
Yeah.
That, I think that is a really good way to get in front of literal eyeballs sometimes.
You.
Right.
And I was gonna say, Fergus County, yes.
We're not trying to keep it from anybody.
I'm ready, you know, ready
Nobody's trying to keep
to work
anything
with
from
that.
it, we need everybody to understand this, and we gotta get it out there as much as we can.
And
This is just about tonight with the ordinance.
has
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
has the map been printed in the paper? Like,
I think, yeah.
I don't know, now it can be, really, it shouldn't have been before, because it was still so much
Exactly.
discussion. And that, you know, listing the streets and stuff is where we gotta start, now that you guys have actually, if this passes on the first reading, then yes, we need to get the map out there, that kind of thing, cause now it's a little more,
concrete?
yes.
That was my process.
And will this just be buried in an ordinance, or will you have, like, when you do your leaf removal, are you gonna have a special section on the website that says our plowing plan?
Typically, it'll have a button or a spot right on our homepage. And again, that social media, that as we know these storms are coming, all of us can work together to spread the word.
And as part of our emergency messaging program, we've invested in what they call hotline. So we can update and use that to update. So if we have issues that are going on within the city or the county as many times a day, and publish that number to try to take some of that blowback off dispatch that's getting hundreds of calls amongst all their other things. So there's some method out there to try to get this information out ahead of time. And I think there's a big part of educating up front, not just door hangers, but really getting out there, say, hey, we had a rough year last year, but we talked to you all year long, this is what we come out with, and then we'd like some feedback at the end of the season, it doesn't work. And I think that goes a long way in the community to, you know, get them to invest in it. It isn't just like, okay, we did this, so.
Well, and recognizing that this, we're gonna try it this year, and if it doesn't work, you know, this can be fluid. If, that we need to add a street, or we discover something else, it is something
Or
that
if 2
can be
inches
amended.
is sincerely better than 4.
And then where's the trigger when you call in a contractor? Like, how does that, separately, you know, said in here, and it's just the street.
Well, this is just the ordinance for the public, this is not the rules of engagement, this is not the administrative rules, right? This is just the ordinance.
The framework.
There's a whole lot that has gone behind this in discussion.
Okay, we have a motion on the table, we have a second. There's no other comments or questions from the commission or the public, we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay, we are doing a first reading on ordinance number 1773, amending Lewistown City Code Section 10-5-3, designating snow road areas as Tier 1 and Tier 2 priorities, creating parking restrictions for snow routes, and amending penalties with the corrections as presented tonight. Commissioner Bueller,
Aye.
Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Rubes,
Aye.
Commissioner Robertson,
Aye.
Commissioner Speaka,
Aye.
I have a question. We did set 4 inches, right? We did, you made that motion? Okay,
Yes.
sorry, I wrote it, but I was like, oh.
And then I started talking,
Okay, got it.
went to skew.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to citizens' requests.
I have one, which is, as some of you have already noted, this will be my last city commission meeting that I'll be covering. So I want to lead into this request, if you'll allow me, and just say I do, both professionally and as just a citizen, appreciate you being so forthright over the years, and as well as taking your time to do something. This is a really annoying job that you have to show up to a lot of long meetings for, I imagine, more so than you might attend. And so my request is just twofold. One, that you be nice to my successor, whoever that may be, and two, that if you have any payback you'd like to extract.
Everyone's been missing you.
Yeah, you'll be, this is a huge loss for our community, you'll be greatly missed. Thank you. I didn't realize this was the last one, but.
Yeah, it happened pretty fast.
Well, good luck to you, and on behalf of the whole commission, we all wish you the greatest success.
Thank you.
Any other citizen request? Or I apologize, this banana smell is just really strong. It's messing with me tonight in the worst way, like a mouthful of braces and I'm right next to it, so I apologize. Let's do commissioners' minutes and we'll start on this side with Commissioner Speaka.
I can't think of anything tonight.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you, Will. We have very much appreciated your words over the years and your insightful and honest reporting. Thank you.
I've been down a couple alleys that have been almost rebuilt with recycled asphalt. I'm assuming that Public Works did that, and that really is a nice deal.
I will relay the message. They did
Okay.
purchase some different equipment that makes it easier to use.
I have nothing.
Mr. Robertson.
I would just say again, Will, you are, I'm sorely disappointed that you're not gonna be here. You set a very high bar. I'm really impressed with your journalism. I think I've told you I'm a journalism major in school, and so I think of it as a very high bar. So thank you for your time, taking care of us with factual information in the newspaper, balance and factual. Thank you.
I do have a little list, but I think I think we've cleared, most of this off, especially with our correspondence today that you got. Any information for the Montana League training for the commissioners in Billings?
So they do have their annual seminar. I don't know that we ever saw the finalized agenda. But it is occurring next week and we
The
can.
13th, yeah, I can send it out.
Okay. And then, we will be looking at doing the reviews closed session this next commission meeting? Or
Are you
is that,
doing what?
is that not?
A city manager review?
Mhm.
Okay,
Is that correct for the second, or do we want more time on that, or what, how does?
that's the commission's decision, not ours.
Do you have a form that you will be?
Well, that's what I would like, if we
I
have.
think Commissioner Robertson was going to work with us on that, and so
We might want to delay till the beginning of April or November.
April?
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
Yeah.
and we should, try and figure out additional time. I didn't feel the last time an hour was, I felt very rushed.
Okay, so we're
We
looking
can
at-
always start that earlier, correct?
Okay, and then, I just wanted to ask about, so with the ruling tonight that we did for the conditional use permit, so will there be enforcement happening with the rest of the situation in the neighborhood?
If there are complaints made, we will follow up on them.
Okay, so that
That's
will be
why
done
we-
by citizen complaint.
Yeah, I gotta have addresses, that kind of stuff,
Okay.
and we'll send them, of course, to code enforcement.
Yeah, in that regard, if I may,
Sure.
take a minute again. I was very sincere about that because we talked at length about campers in the city being parked in various places. And we spent a whole lot of time on planning and how we're gonna manage neighborhoods and so forth. And so I was unaware that within the city limits, we had a lot of people violating that code.
And the clarification there is that they are living in these, that there are people living in.
Living,
as opposed to
residing
just
in them versus
stored.
stored,
upon the
or
property.
I see people in various streets where, mom and dad come visit the kids and they park their camper on the street and I see a cord out in front for a week.
Yeah.
That's, obviously that's a temporary thing. I'm talking about parked in the yard, people living in the camper.
Like attached
Well,
to
parked on the
sewer
street.
lines.
I certainly have seen that in the Heights. I've seen that out in other areas that are out of the city limits. I haven't seen it in the city limits. Maybe I'm blind, but I just haven't seen a lot of it in the city limits.
I know that we work with code enforcement frequently to address those concerns too.
And it is not against code in the county to do that.
Correct.
And there are county lots within what some may perceive as city limits.
Correct.
And that can be very confusing.
Well, that is a little bit, yes.
Awesome, thank you.
I think it's a very important topic and it should be enforced and code enforcement should be all over it. I lived through the Bakken boom.
Yep.
And watched the city of Lewistown just be destroyed by 5 campers in every front yard. And it destroyed that community for the long-term residents that have been there for many years. And I would hate to see that kind of violation of our code happen here.
And then I just wanted to extend thanks to the public for being here tonight. It's a big meeting this evening and a lot of really important topics as always to discuss. So thank you for sticking through with us and good luck to you, Mel. I know Commissioner Terry would have some sweet, heartfelt things to say too. But you'll be so missed.
How dare you?
That's what she would say.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.
You can still call in.
You can attend these meetings anywhere.